This video contains mature themes and discussions intended only for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello and welcome back to a True Crime live stream. My name is Gavin. This is my channel. I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you for joining me. Have to say though, I'm a little down today. I think we all expected this. But let's set the stage, shall we? Today, we are talking about the case of Ellen Ray Greenberg. Ellen was 27 years old when she was brutally stabbed to death over 20 times in the front of her abdomen, a slash to the top of her head, and several stab wounds to the back of her head. And while the medical examiner rightly said, you know what, this is a homicide, under pressure from the Philadelphia police and the DA's office, according to his deposition, this is Dr. Marlon Osborne, bring up his picture right here. According to his deposition, under pressure from the Philadelphia Police Department and the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office, in private and in public, in a very public pressure campaign, Dr. Osborne changed the manner of Ellen Greenberg's death from homicide to that she had done it to herself. We're remaining YouTube friendly here, right? I can say the word. It's not a scary word, but apparently YouTube doesn't like it all that much. Then, after 14 years of fighting, Dr. Osborne finally said, on the eve of what I thought was promising to be a civil trial that was going to go into the favor of Ellen's parents, Josh and Sandy. Here's pictures of Josh and Sandy with their daughter Ellen. Josh and Sandy settled with the city of Philadelphia. The city of Philadelphia agreed to pay them a monetary sum. Remember, Josh and Sandy had spent upwards of $800,000 fighting the city of Philadelphia on this. So they got a payment of an unspecified sum, and they got the word of the city of Philadelphia that an independent review of the case by the now sitting medical examiner's office, because nobody in the office now was there back in 2011 when Ellen was brutally murdered. Well, they said they would do that. Now, of course, they didn't. They took forever to do that. And it wasn't until last month when Judge Linda Carpenter really took him to task for it. But on Friday afternoon, that report was sent over to Josh and Sandy's team. Now, I was under an embargo on this. I wanted to share this with you guys, but rightly so, there was an embargo by Josh and Sandy's team. So I didn't share it with you. But People Magazine got a hold of the report and published a very good report on the fact that the city of Philadelphia, the medical examiner's office, has come to the conclusion. It is the opinion of the chief medical examiner of Philadelphia, Lindsay Simon, MD. It is her opinion that Ellen Greenberg took her own life. She spends 31 pages. 31 pages. This is the report right here. 31 pages going through absolutely everything before she delivers her opinion. We are going to, I don't know that we're not going to go through all 31 pages in depth, but we are going to go through this document. Now, if you are here for the first time, Let me just set up the ground rules, okay? I can't really see your comment. Well, I can see all the comments that come in, but it really helps me if you put GF in your comment. That does not mean girlfriend, that means Gavin Fish. Just put GF in your comment, and that will highlight it for me so I can see what it is that y'all are saying, because I want your interaction here in the live stream. For example, Judy Studios says this new ME has zero credibility anymore, right? Volsgal says, can the judge overrule any of this? Now, I have been asked this question multiple times this very day by many people. Many. I don't know. Half a dozen people today. It is my opinion that she does not. It is my opinion that she does not have that power. But there is a hearing still on the docket, still scheduled for tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I will be attending that meeting, that hearing, and we will see what Judge Linda Carpenter has to say about this. But from my understanding of the law, understanding you guys need to recognize, not a lawyer here, right? I'm just some schlubby guy, part-time reporter, full-time YouTuber, sitting in Western Pennsylvania, who loves to read legal documents. But my understanding of the, I guess, the legal doctrine of mandamus is a judge does have the power to force a public official to do their job, but I do not think a judge has the power to tell them what their opinion must be. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that I am wrong. See if there's anything else. You guys are being so kind about Josh and Sandy. Yeah, Mooney saying big hugs over to Josh and Sandy right now. Yeah, it's just embarrassing for the city of Philadelphia. Steph says, I just don't understand how Philly can understand how Ellen would do this to herself, or could do this to herself. They had the apartment professionally cleaned by a crime scene company, and Sam's family took the electronics. Yeah, there are tons of problems, man. So many problems, right? Oliver's mommy asking if there is a trial tomorrow. It is not a trial. It is a hearing going on tomorrow. Melissa asking the same question. Can Judge Carpenter see this for what it is and throw it out tomorrow? I do believe that she has the power to say the city of Philadelphia did not comply with its settlement, and we're sending it back to trial. I think that she could do that. I think the likelihood is almost zero, though. Nancy, does the new ME have a connection to Shapiro? Not that I know of. Let's talk disabilities. Gavin, you said less than 4 minutes into this video that we all expected this. Why do you think that? I expected this. I expected this. And this is something that I've talked with Josh and Sandy about. Now, I wanted to be wrong. I love it when I'm wrong. I love it when I learn new things, when I can be surprised in the strangest ways to me. I love that. But the city of Philadelphia for 14 years, and it's not just Philadelphia, it is the Attorney General's office, the state of Pennsylvania, has been fighting to put this murder, to sweep it under the rug for 14 years. We're coming up on 15. January 26th will be 15 years since the murder of Ellen Greenberg. So and I'm Monday morning quarterbacking, I know, but I do, like, tomorrow I will be on Surviving the Survivor with Joel. He and I were at the courthouse when this whole settlement happened. He and I sat in the hearing. with the judge beforehand. We watched Josh and Sandy and the city's lawyers and Joe and Will go back and forth and talk and do all these different things. We watched it happen. We saw the settlement happening in real time. Josh and I both told each other that day they're never going to call it a homicide. I expected this just because, I mean, a zebra can't change its stripes, right? Leopard can't change its spots. What is that saying? A tiger can't change its stripes. Philadelphia cannot change its dillholery. It just can't. It just doesn't know how to do it. So that's why. Chico, this is just drawing more attention to this case. This isn't over yet. He's going to be the nominee in 2028. Then all will come out. Yeah, I do think, I think you're talking about Josh Shapiro. I try to stay apolitical on this, but in an apolitical spirit, I do believe that there's a good chance that Josh Shapiro will be the nominee of his party to be elected as president of the United States. He's certainly in the top three, let's say. And he's a good politician, as much as I hate to say that. And I don't have it in me to hate anyone. I think I've outgrown that. But I don't get along with or want to get along with Josh Shapiro. So it gives me no happiness in saying that. But I think you're right. I think he will be the nominee for his party. And like when his name was being bounced around and it looked like a sure thing to be on the ticket as a vice president in the vice presidential candidate in the last election, I got busy. I wrote the entire thing out, and if you guys ever want to see what I wrote, let me bring it up here real quick. Let's go push the right buttons here. If you go to my blog, there is a post about the time that his name was being bandied around titled "Anti-Semites Shouldn't Stop Josh Shapiro from Getting the Veep Nod, but a Murder Cover-Up Should." And I laid out the entire thing top to bottom. So yeah, feel free to go and read that. And if he runs for president, you can bet your bottom dollar that I will be on the warpath on this. This man, because of the 4 years that his office spent covering up the murder of Ellen Greenberg, should not be president of the United States. He shouldn't even be considered for president of the United States. Thank you for that comment. Kathy says, wish the feds could get involved somehow. Yeah. Nicole Luongo asked, what recourse do the Greenbergs have now? That is a very good question. Okay. Now, I have not talked, well, yeah. I mean, I'm in constant contact with the Greenbergs, and I spoke with Sandy on Saturday after I had read this, and I asked her plan. She said, "Don't know yet." So I'm sure that their lawyers, Josh and Will, have plans, but keep in mind that this settlement was in a lawsuit where Josh and Sandy alleged that members of the Philadelphia Police Department, a member of the district attorney's office, and members of the medical examiner's office conspired to cover up the murder of Ellen Greenberg. That was the lawsuit. The settlement was that they would drop that lawsuit and they would withdraw the lawsuit that was in front of the state Supreme Court, which I just wish that wasn't part of the settlement. Monday morning quarterback here. I mean, in the moment, you got to make the best decisions you can. So no fault to Joe and Will, to Josh and Sandy. Do I have a picture? I do. These are the Greenberg's attorneys. They are terrific. On the left is Joe Pedraza. On the right is Will Trask. They're terrific. But I just really wish that I just didn't like that settlement at all. But going into a trial, not knowing what is going to happen. Will a jury see it your way? I get it. I get making those decisions. It's scary. And trading the unknown for a sure thing is, I guess, yeah, it's just attractive, right? What is the word that I'm looking for? Anyway, I understand why somebody would do that. Now, are there any other lawsuits that Josh and Sandy could file? I think so. Sure. It wouldn't be against Dr. Osborne. It wouldn't be against Dr. Gulino, but I do think that they have other things that they can do, but it will start a long process because I believe this case was filed. Let's bring you guys back over here. 3 years ago? It was Greenberg v. Osborne, not that one. It's Greenberg v. Gulino at June 15th of 2022. By the way, you guys know on my site, I make available to all my patrons. Thank you so much, guys, who take care of me on Patreon. All of the documents on my website. I did add the document that we're going over today underneath this part of the site, underneath Greenberg v. Gulino, because that is the case that it's under. So you can just do a little clicky poo on that and log in as a patron, and you'll be able to see that. Okay. But for those of you who are not patrons, don't worry. We're going to get into the document tonight. I want to, I want to get through some of your questions here. Child of God, Gavin, how did the new ME conclude such? This is ludicrous to my compression. I think that was an autocorrect issue there. I'm not sure. We're going to get into it so you can see. Yeah. Gavin, can you share a Zoom link for the hearing tomorrow? Ooh. I mean, it's a public hearing. It's at 1:00. I don't, the answer is I can. And I think I will. But here's the thing. I don't want it to turn into anything like we saw in the Idaho 4 case where people are threatening the judge or doing things that are untoward. The thing that Josh and Sandy have done this entire time is they have kept this above board. They have done this completely appropriately the entire way through. So, can I share the link? Here's what I just don't want there to be a ruckus, and I don't want it all come back on me. So, how about this? Let's do it this way. If you would like to join the public hearing, it is a public meeting, head over to my website. Anything that comes in tonight, I will respond tonight. Head over to my website, click on this little icon right here. I don't know if you can, yeah, you guys can see my cursor, right? Click on that little envelope up at the top. That will take you to a form, and just give me your email address and tell me that you want to, I don't know, just, choose general contact, give me your email address so I can reply and tell me that you would like to join the hearing, and I will send it to you. So I just don't want to put it out in the public domain because I want there to be a little bit of a barrier to get it. Because I just don't want anything untoward to happen in that hearing. I want it to be a professional, legal, above board, classy hearing the way Josh and Sandy have kept it classy the entire time. So reach out to me. I will send it to you. One Man's Trash, thank you for taking us through this document, which I promise we will do. I wouldn't even look at it out of frustration, if not for this community. Melissa asks, how is it independent when the city is being sued, uses their own ME? And that was the settlement. Patty Olson, I don't understand how this happened besides corruption. Yeah, you and I share the same opinion. Terry says, why are they trying to sweep it under the rug? Okay. Here's what I think. Number one, my number one suspect, and I think what should be considered the lead suspect in this, it is connected to is part of a politically connected family who is connected to the governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, former Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. He is a powerful person. And let's not forget that members of my suspects, and I mean, we know who my suspect is, right? My suspects, family members also have a lot of political sway. It's not just the Shapiro connection, it is other political sway. I mean, it was one of the reasons that Ellen probably loved Sam Goldberg, is because he came from a prominent family, a connected family. And so I think that's one angle of it. Number two is, I think that if they were to say, yeah, this is homicide, I think that puts under scrutiny maybe 3,000 other cases. Because I think Dr. Osborne is a horrible pathologist. I really do. Or at least he was then. I think he was having personal issues that were impeding him from doing a good job as the medical examiner. I think he was overworked. I think he was just doing all type of crap. And the fact that the police pressured him to change his manner of death. What do the police care what the medical examiner says? They shouldn't. They shouldn't care. But yeah, Be Brave asking the same question. That's why I think. That is what I think. I see you, says Joel and Gavin, match made in podcast heaven. I love hanging out with Joel. I love going on his channel. Okay, I think I'm pretty much caught up on your comments. We do have next course of action is going to be tough. We'll see what the Greenbergs do. I do think that they have some avenues here. Maybe the judge says the state did not conduct a fair and independent autopsy as they agreed to as part of the settlement. Possibly. Yeah. Shauna, possibly. Shauna. No, my mom's name is Shauna. I was just checking your profile pic there to see if that was my little mumsy. Are they potentially, Kel asks, pushing so hard on this because they are worried about the safety of convictions under the former ME? You said it so much better than I did. I said it clumsily, and look at you go. Okay. Let me just... Oh my goodness, so many questions before we even get into the document, which is fine. I mean, as long as you guys are happy to be here, I'm happy to be here. After you talked about Josh Shapiro on this channel, I shared the info with friends and others. I'm glad. Settlement required fair and independent autopsy. There's the legal reason to go back to court. Settlement not followed, possibly. Or the judge could require the autopsy to be conducted by a third party. Could be. Could I stream the hearing? The answer to that, unfortunately, and not because I don't want to, is no, because while hearings and court proceedings in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania are public meetings, they are not allowed. No cameras are allowed in any courtroom. Nothing that can broadcast out of a courtroom, and that goes for the Zoom hearings as well. So no, I would be prosecuted. If I thought I could get away with it, though illegal, I might try, but no, I would be prosecuted in the Commonwealth for sure. Yeah, I know you guys. I know most of you, the vast majority, 99 and 6, six nines would, I said six nines, I meant the 99 point another four nines. We always called that six nines in engineering. But anyway, six nines of you would not do anything. But there's that one person. So yeah, I can do a recap. Well, maybe I can do an early recap right after the hearing. How about that? I will schedule that tonight also. Let's call that 3:30 Eastern. And so I will be doing 3:30 Eastern, then I will be on with Joel at 7 Eastern, and then around 8:30 Eastern we're going to get into the David case. What is it? The Celeste Rivas Hernandez case. Okay? So tomorrow's going to be a busy day for us, y'all, which is good. If you want to request the link, the easiest thing to do, well, just reach out to me. I'll give you the link. Okay. And Teresa, yeah, good decision on the Zoom link. I don't want it to get out of hand. Kathy Williamson, Gavin, oh my, your hair is getting so long. Please remind me of what has to happen before you cut it. I love how you phrase that. That is so great. No, as many of you know, my dad has been battling cancer for the last almost 7 years. Maybe it's been 7 years now. And when he was in chemo, me and my two sisters and my two brothers, we all shaved our heads in solidarity with our dad. We kept our heads shorn while he was in chemotherapy. He is now in what is called immunotherapy, his second round of immunotherapy. So he hasn't lost his hair this time around. But anyway, I just thought that it would be fun to go full circle and grow my hair out for the purpose of donating it to some organization that might make wigs or whatever for people with cancer or alopecia or something that burns, whatever it is that they do for the people who need it. I have, though thinning and receding, I have been blessed with lots of hair. So that's why I decided to do that, Kathy. Okay, let's get to yeah, you guys, great great comments. The hearing tomorrow is at 1 p.m. Dill Holery, yes. This is my you can buy this mug. It's on my website. It's a dill pickle in a hole. It's my dill hole cup. You're welcome to support me that way, and it would be much appreciated. Okay, let us head on over to this button right here. Bring this up, and you guys have tons of questions. We're going to get to as many as we can. We have plenty of time. Let's just get into this this file. I'm not going to get into the weeds of everything because many of us know the facts of the case. There are just some things that I think that we should read. Okay. So Dr. Simon, he or she, Lindsay can be, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Dr. Simon is a man or a woman. I think, well, now I want to know. Let's see. Dr. Lindsay Simon, pathologist in the city of Philadelphia. Oh, no photo. Come on, Dr. Simon. I guess it doesn't matter. Dr. Lindsay Simon, forensic pathologist. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I'm getting sidetracked. It shouldn't matter. So Dr. Simon starts out, I think it's her document saying the medical examiner's office was asked to conduct an independent and unbiased review of all available materials relating to the death of Ellen Greenberg be conducted by the undersigned. The ultimate question to be answered by this review was whether the manner of death should be changed from the current ruling of suicide to could not be determined or homicide. This review was conducted independently by the undersigned, with all opinions being those of the undersigned without influence by any of the involved parties. Okay. I mean, I don't know that I believe that. Well, I know that I don't believe that. Let's put it that way. I I don't know Dr. Simon, probably a lovely person, but no outside pressure from any of the involved parties. I am calling shenanigans on that. The materials that Dr. Simon reviewed were electronic and paper records retained in the medical examiner's case file, photographs retained in the medical examiner's case file, electronic and paper records generated by the Philadelphia Police Department, transcripts for the depositions of doctors Lindsay Emery, Sam Gulino, and Marlon Osborne. Sam Gulino was the chief medical examiner at the time. Marlon Osborne was an assistant medical examiner at the time of Ellen's death. And then, of course, Dr. Emery was a pathologist that worked there afterwards that was asked to take a look at some of the tissue samples retained in Ellen's case. She was a neuropathologist. And then there were consultative reports from Dr. Wayne Ross, Dr. Jonathan Arden, Dr. Cyril Wecht, Detective Scott Eelman, Henry Lee, PhD, Tom Brennan. Tom Brennan is a retired Pennsylvania state homicide detective with over 800 investigations under his belt. Michael Woodhouse, PhD, and then investigative materials provided by Dr. Wayne Ross. This blew me away. Death in Apartment 603, What Happened to Ellen Greenberg documentary, miniseries on Hulu streaming service. She looked at that. I mean, no shade on that. I'm super proud of Laura and Nancy and the entire team at that docuseries. But that does not belong in an official, like, investigative report. Why is that part of the materials reviewed? Oh my goodness, so dumb. Okay. Yeah, on Wednesday, the 26th of January 2011, approximately 7:30 p.m., the death of Ellen Greenberg was reported to the Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office, subsequently referred to as the MEO. The initially reported circumstances were that the decedent's fiance forced entry into their shared apartment to find Ellen with a knife in her chest. She was pronounced dead at the scene by the medics at 6:40 p.m. on the same day. Mr. Olszewski, Steve Olszewski, was the investigator from the MEO. He responded to the scene at 8:27 p.m. At the scene, the investigator spoke to the decedent's fiance and police at this time. The fiance reported that he had left the apartment around 4:45 to use the apartment building's gym. When he returned to the apartment at approximately 5:15 or 5:30, the fiance found the apartment door secured from the inside. I'm a quibbler here. But this is important and something that I think Dr. Simon has missed. She stated as fact, when he returned to the apartment at approximately 5:15 to 5:30 p.m., the fiance found the apartment door secured from the inside. It should read, the fiance said he found the apartment door secured from the inside, because he is the only person to have said that. Now, there were a couple of neighbors that were interviewed, and I think she gets into it here. I know she does. One of them said that they saw Sam seated on the floor, saying that he was locked out. But I guess I'm a quibbler. Okay. He attempted to reach Ellen via text, phone calls, and knocking on the door for approximately 1 hour before he forced entry into the apartment. Before he said he forced entry into the apartment. Nobody saw him do that. There is conflicting information in the MEO records as to whether the fiancé was accompanied by staff from the apartment complex when he forced entry into the apartment. In the report of death investigation written by the responding MEO investigator, Mr. Olszewski, under the section labeled Circumstances, the following description was provided. He, the fiancé, proceeded to contact the decedent via text message, telephone calls, and emails for approximately an hour before he forced entry into the apartment. There is no indication in the circumstances report who provided this information about entry into the apartment. In a separate report written by the same MEO investigator, Mr. Olszewski, titled Investigation Report, under the section labeled Background, the following description was provided. He, Goldberg, proceeded to try to contact the decedent via text messages, telephone calls, and emails for approximately an hour before he forced entry into the apartment. An apartment security man was reportedly present during the entry, which he was not. We know that he was not. We see it on video. He has made a sworn statement. This is Mr. Hanlon. He has made a sworn statement saying, no, I was not present. Nobody was present with Sam Goldberg when he reportedly broke down the door. And this is I'm sorry to be like such a quibbler on this, but these investigators need to go to reporter school. You can't write as fact something that somebody tells you. It is not fact until it is proven as fact. Put on your skeptical hat. Remember, my skeptical hat is a delightful little bowler. Put it on and report that he said an apartment security man, or somebody said the apartment security man was present during the entry. You cannot write as fact something that you don't know is fact. I mean, this is entry level stuff, man. Entry level stuff. Okay, the MEO investigator noted that all information contained within the background section of this report was provided by the police at the scene and the fiancé. It is not documented in the case file who specifically reported that the entry to the apartment was witnessed by apartment staff. Mr. Olszewski, I hope you're doing better now. While there are no date timestamps to verify which report was entered first, the investigation report containing the second excerpt includes details of interviews conducted after the autopsy was underway. The fiancé reported to the MEO investigator that he found Ellen unresponsive on the kitchen floor. He called 911 as was instructed to give CPR. When he began to render aid, no, he didn't. He did not ever begin to render aid. I don't even think he was in the same room when he made that 911 call. I just don't even think he was in the same room. He did not begin to render aid. When he began to render aid, it should say the fiancé said, or when the fiancé said he began to render aid, the fiancé said he noticed the knife in Ellen's chest. At this point, he stopped rendering aid, oh my goodness, and awaited first responders. That is not unbiased writing. That is biased writing. Like, we can all recognize biased writing. This is not an unbiased report. Crying out loud. Okay, the scene of the death was a 6th floor apartment. The apartment building was described as a gated community with a 24-hour concierge service. I mean, I'll quibble. Not a gated community. Yes, 24-hour concierge. A severe snowstorm had impacted the region near the time of death, which resulted in several inches of snow accumulation. The MEO investigator documented the scene photographically and with a narrative report, the findings of which appear consistent with one another upon review by the undersigned. Ellen was found supine on the kitchen floor. She's on her back. Sort of. But yeah, supine on the kitchen floor with her head and shoulders resting against the lower kitchen cabinets. At the scene, multiple stab wounds were visible on Ellen's chest and upper torso. A knife was lodged in her left chest. That is correct. And if I have a pen, just so you know what it looks like, it was like kind of coming out. Hold on. kind of coming out like this. Ah, man, that's bad. Okay. Kind of coming out like this. And it was so it was so visible. Okay? Oh my goodness gracious me. She fell on a knife. The dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Okay. Get you back over here. The knife lodged in the body appeared consistent with an overturned knife set found on the kitchen counter. Again, overturned. As in perhaps a struggle. Blood evidence appeared to be confined to the immediate vicinity of Ellen's body. Photographs of the scene show a patterned imprint in the blood on the floor near Ellen's right hand. A patterned? Okay, I'm not going to show you guys this photo, but I want to look at that real quick. Let me see. I'm checking Dr. Simon's work here. I cannot show this photo, okay? It's one, Josh and Sandy don't want those photos getting out. And two, I mean, it's just not cool to show this kind of stuff. By her right hand, a patterned imprint. I know there's an image. Yes, there is a patterned imprint next to her right hand near her glasses. Okay. The MEO investigator noted blood staining on the sole of Ellen's boot. It is the opinion of the undersigned that the patterned imprint in the blood appears consistent with the tread of Ellen's boot. I'm just going to look at this real quick. Yeah, I'll give her that. I will give her that. Okay. There were no signs of a struggle in the apartment, except, of course, the overturned knife block. No note was found at the scene. No defensive injuries were noted. I quibble with that as well, because there were bruises on her wrists and hands, and there were little scratches near her nail beds. The sink in the kitchen was dry and had no visible blood or tissue. 2 knives in the kitchen sink were similarly free of blood or tissue. The only sign of forced entry was at the apartment door, where a door latch was incompletely detached from the door. Undisturbed snow was present on the apartment's patio. No alternative means of entering the apartment were identified. Bottles for alprazolam, clonazepam, and zolpidem prescribed for the decedent were recovered from a bedside table. The decedent's cell phone was found in the apartment bathroom next to her packed. Let me describe this photo for you. I can't show it to you. I think they show part of this in the documentary. There we go. Okay, so the photo is the scene of an apartment bathroom with the toilet on the left and the vanity with 2 sinks on the right. It appears that there are some things on the sink that go there frequently. Things like a powered toothbrush, things like soap, a candle, and perhaps like a thing of lotion. But also present on this countertop is like a like a travel size toothpaste and toothbrush in a baggie, what appears to be like a glasses case, Ellen's scarf, and then 2 of Ellen's cosmetics and toiletry bags already packed and unzipped are all in the bathroom. She had not returned from a trip recently. In my opinion, she was packing to go. Okay? I wish I could show you this stuff. I have agreed not to. And yes, indeed, the cell phone is on top of one of her toiletry kits, is the kind that sits tall and unzips in the middle top and opens up this way. And the other is like a book opening type of thing that is closed. And on top of it is Ellen's phone in the purple case. It's an iPhone 4 in the purple case. Okay. The last outgoing text message was sent at 3:47 p.m. the same day. There were multiple missed calls and incoming texts from Mr. Goldberg between 5:30 and 5:54. There were also missed calls from the apartment building's front desk between 6:07 and 6:10. Now, I do want to read these two. The first police interview, let's see. I think she has the second one too. Police transported the fiancé to the Northwest Detectives Division for an interview at 11:25 p.m. During this interview, the fiancé said that Ellen was already home when he arrived home around 1:30 that day. While at home, Ellen was upset about her job and indicated that she wanted to quit. The fiancé noted that Ellen had been stressed over work for a couple of weeks leading up to that day. After offering some encouragement to his fiancée, he said he left the apartment around 4:45 to use the apartment building's gym. When he left, Ellen was reportedly in the apartment grading papers. The fiancé then stated he returned to the apartment around 5:20 p.m. and found that the latch to the apartment door was engaged. And thank you for saying he stated that. He reported calling and texting Ellen without a response. The fiancé said he then went back down to the apartment building lobby to talk to the building's concierge and see if a maintenance worker was available to help with the door. He said he then proceeded back to his apartment and tried calling Ellen again and again with no response. Thank you. That paragraph at least was written in an unbiased manner. The fiancé stated he forced entry to the apartment at 6:29 p.m. Of note, during this police interview, he did not claim to be accompanied by apartment building staff when he forced entry, nor was he specifically asked by police if his entry into the apartment was witnessed or not. When he saw Ellen on the kitchen floor, the fiancé said he called 911. The 911 operator reportedly asked the fiancé if he would be willing to provide CPR to Ellen if the operator guided him through it. The fiancé said he agreed. I mean, professional quibbler here, but it's, I guess I have to, right? Those were his words. But when he got close to Ellen to start rendering aid, he saw a knife in her body. The fiancé reportedly informed 911 operator of the knife, and the 911 operator advised the fiancé to wait for emergency responders to render aid. It is very interesting to me, by the way. I have pointed this out a million times. Well, I exaggerate about 3 billion times a day, so I haven't stated it a million times, but I've stated it 100 times for sure, that he didn't say she had a knife in her chest, which I think is the common way that all of us would report seeing somebody with a knife in their chest. No, what he said was, she has a knife in her heart. And to me, that indicates way more emotion. It indicates way more, I guess, well, just to me, it represents way more anger. If I wanted to say somebody, I'm going to stick a knife in your heart, those are the words that I would say it. But if I found somebody with a knife in their chest, I would go, there's a knife in their chest. It's just the weirdest thing how he said it. Okay, I'm not going to do the whole timeline of events. You guys can get it yourself. All my patrons have access to it on my website. I'm going to skip. Summary of the autopsy report. Let's go over this one. Excuse me, because the autopsy had so many problems. It had so many problems, guys. The two major ones, I've already mentioned them, are the fact that there were not 11 bruises on Ellen's body contained within 3 constellations. There were 59 bruises, individual bruises that I, as a layperson, was able to count, including a string of bruising on her neck. And number two is when they opened the neck and deflected all of those neck muscles, all those straps, there was a giant hemorrhage, which Dr. Osborne saw because he opened her up and they took a photo. But it was nowhere to be found on the autopsy report. So, okay, summary of the autopsy report. The remains of Ellen Greenberg were examined at the MEO on the 27th by Dr. Osborne, with the examination starting at approximately 9 a.m. Ellen weighed 136 pounds, measured 5'7" at the time of the autopsy. The final autopsy report was printed on April 4th and signed by Dr. Osborne. I had never made that connection. April 4th is a special day for us. That is one of our son's birthdays. I had never made that connection, but yeah, okay. The signature on the final autopsy report appears to the undersigned to match the signatures on both the original death certificate. Okay, fine. Dr. Osborne's autopsy report was notable for 20 stab and incised wounds of Ellen's chest, abdomen, posterior scalp, and neck, which were arbitrarily designated wounds A through T. All the wounds were described as having associated soft tissue hemorrhage. 8 of these stab wounds were on the chest and posterior neck, penetrating only 0.2 or 0.3 centimeters, less than an eighth of an inch deep, with only superficial soft tissue injured. 5 of these stab wounds were on the chest and posterior neck, penetrating 1.4 to 2.1 centimeters. 2.2 centimeters is an inch. All right, so between half an inch and 7/8 of an inch deep, with no vital structures injured. 1 stab wound on the posterior neck penetrated 3 centimeters, approximately 1 3/16 inch deep, with no vital structures injured. Hang on. That went into her brainstem. But, okay. The depth of penetration was not documented for the incised wound of the posterior right scalp, but, I mean, the images show it was to the bone. The 5 remaining stab wounds documented in the autopsy report are summarized by the undersigned as follows. Stab wound E, perforations of the aortic arch and the left lung, depth of penetration 10 centimeters. Associated hemopericardium, left hemothorax and right hemothorax. Serrated knife recovered from the wound. Stab wound H, perforation of the chest wall, penetration of the liver. Depth of penetration 4 centimeters. Unspecified volume of associated intra-abdominal hemorrhage. Stab wound I, perforation of the abdominal wall, penetration of the mesentery. Depth of penetration 6 centimeters. Associated intramesenteric hemorrhage. Unspecified volume of associated intra-abdominal hemorrhage. Stab wound M. Oh, this is the one that perforates the dura. Okay. All right. I apologize to Dr. Simon. Perforations of dura at base skull and intracranial blood vessels overlying the cerebellum. Depth of penetration 8 centimeters. Almost the same depth, think of it, as the knife. It was about that much shorter. Just a little less than an inch shorter. Associated subarachnoid hemorrhage of the cerebellum. Stab wound T, perforations of the posterior neck muscles and dura of the spine between the second and third cervical vertebra. Depth of penetration 7 centimeters. Associated focal epidural hemorrhage of the spinal canal. In the autopsy report, the cervical spinal cord was described as bulging near the defect of the cervical spine dura. Per the report, this segment of spinal cord was submitted to Dr. Lucy Rourke, which it was not. Come on. A neuropathologist practicing at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia for examination. Seemingly contradictory statements about the outcome of that examination were included in the autopsy report. On the findings and opinions page of the report, Dr. Osborne wrote, "The spinal cord injury was evaluated grossly by neuropathology. It was concluded that the injury to the spinal cord would not have incapacitated the decedent." Well, it's misspelled. Therefore, the decedent would be able to inflict the subsequent stab wounds to her body. However, on page 6 of the report of examination, in the description stab wound T of neck, Dr. Osborne wrote, note, neuropathologist Dr. Lucy Rourke, again misspelled, examined the spinal cord and concluded there's no defect of the spinal cord. So they conflict. Other pertinent findings in the autopsy report were multiple contusions on Ellen's right upper arm, right forearm, abdominal wall, right thigh, and near her right knee. Dr. Osborne summarized these contusions as being in various stages of resolution on the findings page. Dr. Osborne affirmatively stated there were no petechiae in the conjunctivae, nor were there injuries to the lips. So petechiae refers to broken blood vessels and in the conjunctivae, which is the whites of your eyes. And indeed, in the photographs, there's no petechiae. There's none of that hemorrhaging in her eyes. It's been a while since I've looked at that. Let me just... Yeah, the whites of her eyes are crystal clear. Nor were there injuries to the lips, oral cavity, external genitalia, perineum, anus, or vaginal canal. He also affirmatively reported that there were no injuries to Ellen's anterior neck muscles, hyoid bone, or thyroid cartilage of the larynx. But there was. And I've shown it here on this channel. If you go, I'm going to bring you over to my website real quick. Give me just a second for this to load. Okay. If you go to Ellen's case page and scroll on down, there is one that says do not watch this. Okay. This is one where Josh and Sandy gave me permission to show very close up, very cropped images of her neck that includes the hemorrhage on the inside and the bruising on the outside. So if you want to see it for yourself, that's where you go. I'm not just, don't take my word for it. I've got it documented right there. Okay. Details from the review of the autopsy report and photographs. In general, the undersigned agrees with the findings documented in the autopsy report when compared to the photographs taken at autopsy. However, there are omissions and errors regarding the documented injuries in the autopsy report that require attention. Okay, stab and incised wounds, external findings. Dr. Osborne documented and described a total of 20 stab and incised wounds in his final autopsy report, which appears to correspond with notes taken by Dr. Osborne during the autopsy. Autopsy photographs demonstrate 3 additional perforations in the skin, which were unaccounted for in Dr. Osborne's report and notes. Specifically, there is one small vertically oriented perforation of the skin of the posterior right neck, approximately ½ centimeter in length compared to the photograph scale. One small obliquely oriented perforation in the skin on the right side of the neck, approximately 0.3 centimeters in length compared to the photograph scale, and one small horizontally oriented perforation of the skin of the upper chest, approximately 0.3 centimeters in length compared to the photograph scale. All these perforations have photographically documented soft tissue hemorrhage and are less than 3/16 of an inch in length when compared with scales in the photographs. It is the opinion of the undersigned that these omitted injuries did not result in significant internal injury. Okay, internal findings. The described internal injuries associated with stab wound E do not completely correspond with the photographic documentation. There were no reported perforations of the pericardium or its contents, yet there was 120 milliliters of blood in it, Based on review of the photographs, it is the opinion of the undersigned that stab wound E, in fact, extended through the pericardium and into the ascending aorta. Whether there was also a perforation of the aortic arch, as stated in the report, cannot be adequately assessed by autopsy photographs. It also appears E was the killing blow. It also appears, based on photographs, that this stab wound resulted in penetration of the right lung, not just the left lung. Whether there was also an injury to the left lung, as stated in the report, cannot be adequately assessed by the autopsy photographs. By the way, the fact that they are saying that she is saying that there are photographs of the organs is an indication to me that the Greenbergs did not receive all of the photographs in the file, because can't see them. There are small but significant omissions in the description of internal injuries associated with stab wound N on the surface of the anterior right side of the pons at the right middle cerebellar pundicle is a superficial incised wound with hemorrhage. The incision is best seen on photos of the brain taken after formalin fixation. The hemorrhage visible in the incision indicates that it was an antemortem injury and not an artifact of the autopsy process. Dr. Osborne's report also described subarachnoid hemorrhage on the cerebellar vermis and right cerebellar hemisphere, which corresponds with autopsy photographs. However, these photographs also show subarachnoid hemorrhage on the left cerebellar hemisphere near the vermis, on the inferior aspect of the right temporal lobe of the brain near the foramen magnum, and the anterior right sides of the pons and medulla. These areas of subarachnoid hemorrhage are visible in photographs of the brain both at the time of the autopsy and after formalin fixation. Okay, blunt impact injuries. Okay, thank you. Dr. Osborne's autopsy report described a total of 11 contusions on the right upper arm, right forearm, right lower abdomen, and right thigh. There's no description in the autopsy report to indicate which of these contusions Dr. Osborne believed to be resolving. It is the opinion of the undersigned that the described contusion of the right upper arm and some of the contusions of the right forearm and thigh were resolving. The remaining documented contusions of the right forearm, abdomen, and thigh appear to be more recent. After review of the photographs, the undersigned identified the following contusions which were omitted from the autopsy report. These injuries have been subdivided into those documented in Dr. Osborne's autopsy notes and those that were completely undocumented. The commentary on the color and shape of the contusions is that of the undersigned. Let's see what she says. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so 20 plus 11 is 31. I counted 59. And I stand by it. Like I've gone through that. I've gone through those photos so many times. Maybe they consider ones that are just almost completely resolved, but still there. Non-contusions, I guess. I don't know. But I'm glad that they did at least add in 20 more. There are also internal findings of blunt impact which were not described in Dr. Osborne's report. Autopsy photographs of the anterior neck dissections show 2 discrete areas of hemorrhage in the right sternothyroid muscle at the level of the thyroid gland. It should be noted that depending on the orientation of the body when these injuries occurred, they may correspond to the surface contusion on the anterior neck described above. Contusions on her neck. Where does it say? I'm glad that she mentioned that. Yeah, he never mentioned the one on her forehead, and there is the neck. There is the neck. Okay. All right. I'm going to skip the summary of events, summary of police interviews. We know what happened. Oh, I would Oh no, we're gonna skip over this stuff. You guys can read it. Patrons can grab it. Um, there is a sixth floor neighbor. Yep. Um, Yeah, let me just read this. One neighbor, subsequently referred to as neighbor A by the undersigned, reportedly exited the elevator onto the sixth floor sometime between 5:30 and 5:45. At this point, neighbor A reportedly saw Ellen's fiance in the hallway, knocking on the apartment door and asking to be let inside. After this initial encounter, the neighbor went into their apartment and overheard the fiance continuing to knock on the apartment door. After approximately 15 minutes in their apartment, neighbor A walked back into the hallway and reportedly told the fiance that the front desk had a master key to unlock the apartment doors. At this point, the fiance reportedly told neighbor A that he was locked out because the door was latched from the inside. Ellen's fiance reportedly forcibly pushed open the door to show neighbor A the problem. While this neighbor couldn't see the latch engaged at this point, they reportedly noted the latch reverberating and making noise. When the fiance pushed the door, according to neighbor A, it was clear the door was latched. Yeah, I don't buy that. I mean, he didn't see it. He didn't see it. After that encounter, neighbor A reportedly returned to their apartment. This neighbor estimated that the fiance had intermittently knocked and asked to be let into the apartment for approximately an hour following the neighbor's first sighting of him in the hall. Blah, blah, blah. There was another neighbor as well. Yeah. Okay. The psychiatrist. Ellen's psychiatrist reported that she only had 3 sessions with Ellen prior to her death. The psychiatrist indicated that Ellen talked about issues relating to her being a teacher. According to the psychiatrist, when Ellen spoke of her fiance during their sessions, it was when she appeared to be the happiest. Yeah, Ellen's friends were interviewed. Okay, let's read the second police interview with Ellen's fiance, okay? So Ellen's fiance, by the way, let me describe this. When Sam Goldberg reported to the police station for his second interview, he was accompanied by a lawyer. That lawyer, I mean, I don't know what his hourly rate, his billable rate was at the time, but he has become famous for being one of the most expensive criminal defense attorneys in the nation. His name is Brian McMonigal, and he defends mobsters, he defends celebrities, he defends all sorts of people that need a good criminal defense attorney. Now, I do not object to Mr. Goldberg having a lawyer, but we should note that because his lawyer was present, there were a lot of questions he wasn't going to answer. I'm sure he was told by Mr. McMonigal, "You're not answering that. You're not answering that. Do not answer that." I'm sure he was, but so just so you know, before we read this, that was the situation, okay? Ellen's fiance elaborated on his prior statement to police given on the night of the incident. He described Ellen as being very stressed out about school the day of her death. Specifically, Ellen worked as a first grade teacher, and her grades were due. He stated Ellen was trying to work on the day of the incident, but seemed unable to concentrate. Yeah, I wonder why. He described Ellen as seeming to have lost confidence in her teaching abilities at the beginning of the 2010 school year, and that this caused her work to take over her life. Ellen reportedly avoided social events with more frequency near the time of the incident, citing work-related issues. Except photos from Ellen's phone and her camera indicate that she was going to lots of social events. Maybe they went to social events every night and she pulled back a night a week or so. I don't know, but whatever. In January, when Ellen started getting depressed, he is the only person to ever say that, by the way. Her doctor never said it. She never said it that I've been able to find. Her parents never heard it. She was not depressed. She was anxious. Okay? He apparently said she started getting depressed. She reportedly asked her fiance if he would still love her if she was crazy. He reportedly assured Ellen that his love was unconditional. At some point, Ellen also reportedly told her fiance that she just wanted to feel like her old self again. Remember, Ellen, in my opinion, was trying to leave. She had asked her parents if she could come home. She had asked a cousin if she could stay there. When the cousin asked, "Is it going to be you or is it going to be you and Sam?" she changed the subject and never brought it up again. All of her toiletries were packed. She was leaving, man. Um, and so in my opinion, based on all of the bruising and the fact that I cannot find any evidence that Ellen played rugby, tackle football, water polo, or any other high contact sport, I think those bruises were coming from elsewhere. In my opinion, Ellen was living in an abusive relationship. That's what the evidence says to me. Ellen was reportedly, it continues, under the care of a psychiatrist for this work-related stress. Ellen was prescribed Zoloft and Ambien at first, but reportedly stopped taking the Zoloft at some point because she said it made her feel lackadaisical and zombie-like. Ellen was then reportedly switched to Xanax. Ellen's fiance denied knowledge of any prior self-harm or having serious concerns about Ellen's mental state prior to the incident. The only health concerns Ellen had that the fiance was reportedly aware of were night sweats and episodes of an elevated heart rate. Goldberg explained that he didn't force entry into the apartment sooner on the day of the incident because he thought perhaps Ellen was in the shower, working with headphones on, or napping. Ellen would reportedly only latch the apartment door when she went to sleep or when the fiancé traveled. Reportedly, Ellen did not normally latch the door shut when her fiancé went to the gym. The fiancé reported speaking to a neighbor in the hallway while he was trying to enter the apartment on the night of the incident. This neighbor reportedly suggested that the fiancé go to the front desk to get a spare key. The fiancé reportedly responded that he had his keys but that the door was latched from the inside. When Ellen's fiancé, she's going to great lengths to not name Sam Goldberg. When Goldberg forced entry into the apartment and called 911, he reportedly agreed to provide CPR with the 911 operator's assistance, which I don't think he did, but I mean, I have to, right? When the fiancé prepared to get Ellen lying flat on the floor, he reportedly saw the knife in her chest and informed the operator of the same. The 911 operator reportedly advised him to stop attempting to render aid. The couple reportedly got engaged in June of 2010, and their wedding was planned to take place on August 23rd, 2011. Ellen's fiancé denied any prior domestic issue with Ellen requiring police or parental involvement. While at the, well, yeah, that's not a denial. That's a denial of police involvement and parental involvement. While at the police department on this date, Ellen's fiancé volunteered a DNA sample for police to use as a comparison to DNA on evidence from the incident. Okay, I think that's all I want to read so far because there's just so much. And you guys can take a look at it, but I'm going to go. Well, first, let's bring up Ellen. I'm gonna cue this up, and we're gonna go to the last page. But before we do that, let's take a look at what you guys are saying. I've been going on for a long, long time. Let me just see if I can scroll as far up as I can. Okay. Betsy's tag says, when this first happened, I was already convinced it was a homicide. It was a no-brainer, a very weak alibi. We live in Western New York, I want to say, and it was so cold the way he did her. Real happy loves my hair. Well, thank you. I have grown tired of it. It's been cool because I've never had long hair before, but wow, is it hot? Like it's hot, right? Like you always want to have it up. Anyway, um, Archangel Marici. Okay, this is a good question. Let's bring up pictures with Josh and Sandy. Gavin, I didn't want to ask this, but is there anything put in place in case Ellen's parents pass away? I know it's a hard question, but I think Sam and his friends just want to buy time. So here's what I found out, and I think this is correct. I think it's correct. There's no other next of kin, so even if another person were to be named as the administrator or administratrix of Ellen's estate, they wouldn't have standing. So if Josh and Sandy were to leave this earth before this is all figured out, that's the end of it. Yeah. I've asked that question, and thank you for being so I guess gentle in the way you asked it. You a Crimson Tide says, Gavin, I can't fathom someone emailing in the middle of trying to contact someone who isn't responding to knocking texts and calls. What did the email say that her fiance sent, and what time was it sent? Give me a second. Well, it's not included in this report. I have it, but I'll just characterize it. Okay, it is just basically like you'd really need to open the door. It's the same stuff. Kel says, my hubby has been growing out his hair and beard for Shave for a Cure. Looks like a crazy old bushman. Good for him. It's awesome. Let's see. I already answered that question. Oh, Paige, I'm terribly sorry for you. Paige says, I'm watching a bit behind and heard you mention your dad. I unfortunately lost my sweet mom today. And just wanted to say how beautiful it is that you've been supporting your dad along his journey. Paige, I'm terribly sorry for you. I have been wrestling with the mortality of my father. The trip back to California was healing to visit with them. The most beautiful thing in all of it is the relationship that my parents have together. My mom is amazing. I bet your mom was too, and I'm so sorry for your loss. Meredith asking, how am I doing? I'm doing better. Getting past things. I've been in touch with even more friends. Like friends from that era, the era that my mind has been stuck in. So that's been great. Thank you for asking. Melissa Garvey, the whole point of this lawsuit is to remove the ruling and get an investigation. She is stating his story as fact and using that in her findings. How is that even close to being okay? Exactly. Ocean City Gold, why don't you Zoom the hearing live and we can all join you on your channel? I cannot do that because I will subsequently be arrested and held in contempt of court, and criminal charges will be filed against me because of the weirdness of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So I just can't do it. Let's see. This is a good question. Kelly, I have the same knife. So you have a Cutco 1721. Yep. Can't imagine how he missed it. Was her hair hanging over it? No, Kelly. No, it was not. Her hair was nowhere near the knife. And again, let me just come over here. Nope. Her hair was tied back in a ponytail. And the only hair that was anywhere other than pulled back were some of her bangs, which were in front of her left eye. Left eye? Left eye. Yeah, no, he didn't miss it. He didn't miss it. He just says he missed it, in my opinion. How do you miss it? Yeah, I would love to do the live link. Cannot do so. Melissa, most of this finding is based on the only the suspect's statement. That is correct. Carrie says, Gavin, who allegedly killed her? So I will not say who killed Ellen Greenberg. All I will say is my suspect is her fiance. That would be the most obvious suspect. Now it's possible it was somebody else. Possible that it was more than one person. Sure, it's possible. But I don't think that door was ever latched, I should say. And yeah, I don't believe any of the story at all. Susan, welcome as our newest fanatic. Thank you very much for that support. Oliver's mommy, do you have any more live discussions on this case planned? Tomorrow at 3:30. And this case is so important to me, guys. I will always be doing live discussions on this case. I will not stop doing them. Yeah, the answer is yes. We will talk so much. I saw that a couple of you saw Crime Analyst. Laura's amazing. I'm glad that you listen to her and watch her. She is great. Lily says, isn't there a few impossible stab wounds where the offense occurred post-mortem? There's one where it may have occurred post-mortem. There's no vital response present. It's in the back of her neck going into her brain. Kel says, the fact that so much was left out of the original, the fact that Sandy and Josh didn't receive the whole file, it screams cover-up. Yes. Karen says, your hair gives you a most distinguished Shakespearean appearance. So I'm working toward a Gaston appearance here. I want to be able to tie back in like a little bow, and I will have to shave my beard in order to display the swell cleft in my chin. And of course, I will have to spend a lot of time at the gym. But you know what? Since I brought that up in my Ask Me Anything live stream the other day, was that Friday? I talked about being on a journey to stop being a big old fatso. I don't want to be Fat Gavin anymore. I think it's unfair to my Kimberly and my kids, and don't want to be the one that is like taken care of in my old age because I can't take care of myself. And so I am on a journey, and I'm doing very well. I'm doing very well. I started about 2 months ago, and I've kept it up. So maybe someday I will have a Gastonian appearance. But thank you for the compliment of the distinguished Shakespearean appearance. You know, the last time I was in a Shakespearean production, I was 17 years old, and it was reimagined and set in the 1970s. So it was a very different look. What did we do? We did a comedy of errors. And I imagine that people in the audience probably didn't think it was so funny because we didn't understand Shakespeare at that time. I don't know why kids are made to do Shakespeare. Shakespeare should be left to grown-ups who appreciate it. This is really a tangent. I apologize for the tangent. Oh, here's one that I should show you guys. I haven't brought this up yet tonight. These are the stab wounds from the original autopsy reports, missing 3, according to Dr. Simon. Yeah, and they want us to believe what it is. Mooney, thank you very much for supporting me that way. Oh, I apologize 2.54 centimeters an inch, not 2.2. Thank you. All right. That lawyer is the police's lawyer. He defends police who have been accused, likely paid for by the police union. Detective Sierra was a police union rep, may still be. Yeah, well, I know that McMonigal does represent at least the SEPTA officers, but Virginia law, you probably know more than I do. VA Law 1, probably know more than I do. Donna. Hi, you are the best. I'm thoroughly disgusted and sad by this. Ellen's parents deserve an award for not physically going after anyone. Was Josh Shapiro holding her hand while she was filling all, I don't know. Yeah, it got cut off, Donna. But thank you, and they do deserve an award. We shall call it the True Grit Award. Oliver's mommy meant to ask you if you will be having another in-person discussion on her case. Oh, I see. I see. You know, I would love to do an in-person event again. We did Crime Convo in Clarion, PA. We had a pretty good full house, including Mooney, who traveled so far to be there. I would love to do an in-person event in Philly about this case. And I think that I could make it happen probably with Joel Waldman. Maybe we could get Joseph Scott Morgan up there to do it with us. I'm sure that Josh and Sandy, given the opportunity, would join us. Some of her family from the Philadelphia area might join us. So, yeah, I mean, if that's something that you guys want, it's something that I really would like to do. And maybe in January is the time to do it on the 15th anniversary. Maybe we should do that. My Knit Saloon says, please don't go bald and keeping the beard. Well, I got news for you. This hair is coming off. It's just a matter of how long it will be when I take it off. UA Crimson Tide. Gavin, I find it highly alarming that nobody mentioned that email, the email that originally was mentioned in the autopsy. Find it hard to believe that he would stop to send an email to someone not answering. Yeah, it is weird. It's weird. Will they still have the same judge tomorrow they had at the last hearing? Yes. Yep. UA Crimson Tide, I'm following you. I'm following you. Could Ellen's parents set up a foundation or trust that's mission could be justice for Ellen? I'm sure they could. It's really up to them. I know I'm aware of a lot of good that Josh and Sandy have done in Ellen's name. I don't know if they have a foundation or a trust set up, but in Ellen's name, they have done a lot of good. But I think if Josh and Sandy were to pass away, that would be the end of it. I have consulted with many a legal scholar on that. I see you applauds me on my journey. Thank you. Jeannie says, no wonder he said she wasn't going out. Maybe she didn't want anyone to see her bruising. Good point. So the Emmy didn't mention the performative 911 call where Sam said Ellen fell on a knife, correct? Mooney says, I build sets for Midsummer Night's Dream, Comedy of Errors. Awesome. Built sets. Yes. Our daughter did Midsummer Night's Dream and was fantastic. So I take back everything I said about kids doing Shakespeare and should just say this kid should never have done Shakespeare. I didn't get it. I did not get it. I think I just caught up to everything that you guys have asked. Lots of great comments. Been amazing. Thank you guys for that. I appreciate you too, Mooney, for the for gifting the memberships. That was so awesome. Okay, so what are we going to do next? So what I'm going to do for the next little bit is respond to emails with a link so that those who want to join respectfully and quietly the hearing tomorrow may do so. And I will also set up a live stream to report back on what happened at the hearing. We're going to set that for 3:30 p.m. Eastern. So I will do that tonight. And hopefully tomorrow's going to be a busy day. I'm going to be on we'll be on at 3:30. I'll be on with Joel at 7 on Surviving the Survivor. And then I will be on talking about Celeste Rivas Hernandez a little later than normal, about 8:30. Okay, so I don't know if you're really hungry for your Gavin fix, tomorrow's going to be a day. You're going to be drunk or just completely sick, more likely sick on Gavin Fish, but that's what we are going to do. Okay, with that, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Looks like we had about 400 of us on today. That really is amazing. Ellen Greenberg is extremely important to me. I never knew Ellen, but I consider Josh and Sandy my friends. I consider Sandy like a surrogate mom, and I've got an awesome mom. When I talk with my mom, she always checks in on Sandy. And when I talk with Sandy, she checks in on my parents and my kids. So they're people that I deeply care about, and I want justice for Ellen, a woman I never knew but feel like I know well through covering this case for so long. Yeah, it just means so much. Let's real quick do the obligatory self-promotion. My website is gavinfish.com. On gavinfish.com, you'll see all my latest blog posts. You'll see Crime Cod articles. Check out Crime Cod, my true crime website. Please go ahead and sign up for the newsletter. We've got like 2,700 people signed up to the newsletter now, which is pretty awesome. And my writers, Jake and Kate, and I write occasionally for Crime Cod. We try to give you the latest news on cases that you care about. So please check that out. When you're on gavinfish.com, there's a little icon up here at the top, the little fishy. Click on it. That will take you over to the fish tank, where about 5,500 of us hang out to talk about true crime. Of course, Ellen is front and center lately, but it's not just Ellen, it's so many other things. And there's the case that was going to be today, but we will be covering tomorrow. I've talked with Sandy Greenberg about coming on. She's not quite sure about her and Josh coming on. Not quite sure, but I'll check in with her and see if we can have her on to talk about this a little bit. Maybe we can give them some moral support. Okay. With that, I will stop with the never ending false endings and just bid you adieu. See you on the next one. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.